Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to speak about a truth that has carried humanity through the darkest nights and the longest journeys. With God, everything is possible. Everybody talks about success. Everybody wants it. They dream about it. They post about it. But let me tell you something no one wants to admit. Success, real success, starts where most people quit. It starts in the places that feel impossible. When the odds are stacked against you, when nothing is working, when everyone around you says it can't happen, that's exactly where the real champions are born. And that's where God steps in. Most people think they have faith, but they don't even know what real faith is. Faith isn't about believing when everything is going well. Faith is believing when every single piece of evidence around you tells you that you're finished. Faith is standing tall when the world is throwing stones at you. Faith is waking up every morning when you've got nothing left in your tank, no resources, no support, no visible path, and still telling yourself, with God, it's still possible. Faith is a weapon. It's not passive, it's active. It demands action, energy, discipline. Too many people think faith is just sitting in a room and hoping things change. No, faith is moving even when you don't see how it's going to work out. It's showing up at the gym when you're tired. It's grinding your business when the bank account says zero. It's praying, working, sweating, sacrificing, all because you know you're not doing it alone. You've got God behind you, and if He's behind you, you cannot lose. Look at any powerful figure in history. Anyone who's ever changed their world. They had unshakable faith in something bigger than themselves. They were unbreakable because they knew they weren't carrying the weight alone. When you truly understand that God is on your side, fear leaves your body. Doubt evaporates. You stop caring about the critics, the failures, the setbacks, because you realize that every single no you face is just a setup for God's bigger yet. You know what kills most people's dreams? It's not failure, it's fear, it's hesitation. It's the little voice that says, maybe it's too hard, maybe I'm not good enough. But if you have real faith, you silence that voice immediately. You know you're built for this. You know that the God who created oceans, mountains, and stars didn't create you to live small. He didn't put you here to live in fear. He put you here to conquer, to build, to lead, to inspire. Faith wakes up that warrior inside you. And let me tell you something even deeper. When you truly move in faith, the world starts to bend in ways you can't even explain. Opportunities start appearing. People show up at just the right time. Doors you didn't even know existed suddenly open. That's not luck. That's God. That's what happens when you step out of fear and into faith. Some people hear that and they think, yeah, but I tried and it didn't work. Listen carefully. Faith is not a one-day event. It's a lifestyle. You don't build faith by giving up the first time something goes wrong. You build faith by standing firm again and again, even when the ground shakes under you. You build faith in the fire, not in comfort. God doesn't hand success to cowards. He honors the ones who are willing to fight through the storm because they know He's the one steering the ship. When you realize that with God, all things are possible, it changes how you walk into every room. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop playing small to make other people comfortable. You stop second-guessing whether your dreams are too big. Nothing is too big for God. If He put that fire inside you, it's because He intends for you to set something ablaze. He didn't call you to a mediocre life. He called you to impact the world. Every time I face a challenge, and believe me, I've faced plenty, I remind myself, the obstacle isn't there to stop me. It's there to reveal me. It's there to show the world and myself that I am exactly who God says I am. I don't shrink in front of giants. I don't bow to fear. I move forward because I know who fights for me. You see, when you operate in true faith, even the word impossible starts to lose meaning. It's just a word people use when they don't have the guts to believe. But you are different. You're not here to live in limitation. You're here to break barriers. You're here to prove that with God, what looks like an ending is actually just the beginning of something far greater than you imagined. Faith is the currency of the impossible. If you want to cash in on greatness, you better be willing to invest everything you've got in belief, even when the circumstances don't make sense. Especially then. That's where the real power is. That's when God shows up and does what only He can do. So don't sit around waiting for permission. Don't ask small-minded people to validate your God-sized dreams. Stand up, speak life, move forward, build, create, fight, lead, all with the fierce knowledge that you cannot fail when you walk with the one who makes the impossible possible. Because with God, everything, and I mean everything, is possible. People are so trapped by their own minds. It's almost painful to watch. They walk around like prisoners in cages they built for themselves, thinking I can't do this, or it's too much for me. They live small because they believe small. But when you truly understand who you're connected to, when you understand the limitless power of God, that's when you start playing the real game. That's when you stop living in survival mode and start living in domination mode. Because you realize that the very force that spoke the universe into existence is on your side. God's power is infinite. Stop and actually think about that for a second. Infinite. No cap. No ceiling. No maybe. No sometimes. Infinite. Human power runs. Your own strength will fail you sometimes. Your own mind will get tired. Your own emotions will trick you. But God doesn't run out. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't second guess. He doesn't make mistakes. His strength is eternal. His authority is absolute. And his ability is unmatched. When you tap into that, really tap into it, you become unstoppable. People look at their problems like they're too big. They stare at the mountain in front of them and think, there's no way. But what they forget is that the mountain was created by the same God who can move. He put the laws of nature into place, and he's not bound by them. He doesn't operate inside human limitations. If he wants to open a path, he will. If he wants to make a way, he does. Your problem is not bigger than your God. It never was. The only thing bigger was your fear. You weren't born to live in chains. You weren't created to crawl through life hoping you make it to the end without too much pain. You were created to rule, to win, to walk into every battle knowing that victory is your destiny. That's what happens when you stop trusting in your own strength and start trusting in God's unlimited power. You stop being a victim of life, and you start becoming a master of it. Understand this. You're not walking into the fight alone. You're not building your empire alone. You're not chasing your dreams alone. Every step you take in faith is backed by the full weight of heaven. And when you have the full force of the Creator backing your mission, there is no such thing as too hard. There is no such thing as too late. There is no such thing as impossible. The problem with most people is that they try to measure God's ability based on their circumstances. They try to measure the supernatural by looking at the natural. They say, well, the economy is bad, or I don't have the right connections, or I've already failed before. So none of that matters when God's involved. He doesn't need a good economy to bless you. He doesn't need human approval to promote you. He doesn't need a clean past to give you a powerful future. He does whatever he wants, whenever he wants, and no man, no system, no enemy can stop him. You've got to rewire your mind to stop operating based on what you see and start operating based on what you know. You've got to stop asking, can I, and start declaring God can. You have to understand that when God steps into the equation, normal rules don't apply anymore. He is the rule maker. He is the rule breaker. He is the standard. And when you're aligned with him, your life stops looking normal. It starts looking supernatural. You're not average. You were never meant to. But to live that out, you have to stop leaning on your own limited strength and start leaning into his unlimited power. You have to be bold enough to dream so big that people think you're crazy. You have to have faith strong enough to step out when there's no guarantee. Because you know something they don't. You know that God doesn't fail. Every breakthrough you're waiting for already exists in the mind of God. Every dream you're chasing is already possible in his hand. Your future isn't something you have to invent. It's something you have to trust him to deliver. But it requires boldness. It requires the kind of mindset that refuses to accept anything less than God's best. The truth is, too many people pray for a miracle but live like victims. They ask for victory but keep expecting defeat. That mindset cancels out the power they could be walking in. You can't halfway believe and expect full-blown miracles. You have to go all in. All your faith, all your energy, all your confidence anchored in the reality that your God has no limit. None. And when you walk like that, you carry yourself differently. You move into rooms like you belong there. You face problems like you're bigger than them. You dream like there's no ceiling. Because you know, not you, not your bank account, not your talent, not your background, but God himself is the source. And his power never runs dry.
You want to change your life. Stop praying small prayers. Stop living safe. Stop thinking tiny. Start believing that the same God who raised the dead, who parted seas, who healed the sick, who shattered armies without lifting a sword, that same God is fighting for you. He's not distant. He's not passive. He's not busy with someone else's life and too distracted to care about your. He's right here, right now, waiting for you to step up and actually believe. So get up, walk in it, live like you already won, act like the battle's already finished. Because it is. The only limits that exist are the ones you choose to believe in. But with God there are no limits, only endless possibilities, endless victories and endless opportunities for those bold enough to trust Him. Because with God, everything, absolutely everything is possible. Everybody wants the miracle. Everybody wants the win. But nobody wants the trial. Nobody wants the pressure. Nobody wants the nights where you're questioning everything, feeling like you're on the edge. But let me tell you the truth. Without the trial, there is no miracle. Without the struggle, there is no strength. Without the pain, there is no victory. Trials aren't punishments. They're invitations. They're setups for God to show you and everybody watching just how powerful He really is. When you're in the middle of it, when life hits you in the face, when the plan falls apart, when the people you trusted turn their backs, you have two choices. You can collapse and cry about how unfair it all is, or you can recognize that you're in the exact position where miracles are born. God doesn't show up to fix things that aren't broken. He shows up when the situation looks hopeless. That's when He steps in and says, "Now watch what I can do." Pressure creates diamonds. Fire forges steel. Trials make warriors. If you're facing a battle right now, congratulations. It means you're being shaped for greatness. It means God sees something inside you that's worth refining. It means there's a bigger story being written. A story where you come out on the other side stronger, smarter, sharper, and more powerful than you ever thought possible. But it's about how you handle the trial. That's the difference between winners and everybody else. Winners understand that the pain is temporary, but the reward is forever. They know that the struggle isn't the end. It's the beginning of something greater. When life hits, they don't ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What's next?" They know that every setback is just a setup for a comeback. God never wastes a trial. Every tear you've cried, every sleepless night, every betrayal, every closed door, none of it is random. He's using all of it. Every single piece is working together to position you, prepare you, and propel you into the next level of your destiny. But you've got to stay in the fight long enough to see it happen. You can't quit halfway and then blame God because you didn't see the miracle. Miracles are reserved for those who endure. Look, the people who see the impossible happen are the ones who refuse to tap out, the ones who refuse to let fear write their story. Anybody can believe when it's easy. Anybody can smile when the money's rolling in, and the followers are growing, and everybody's clapping. That's not faith. Real faith is bleeding and still believe. Real faith is losing everything and still refusing to curse God. Real faith is standing when everything inside you says, "Sit down and give up." And let me tell you something else. People are watching you. Your enemies are watching you. Your friends are watching. The people you inspire, even the ones you don't know about, they're watching you. How you handle the trial speaks louder than any words you could ever say. When they see you walk through the fire and come out without the smell of smoke, when they see you lose everything and still praise God, when they see you suffer and still smile, that's when they start believing, maybe there's something real about this faith you talk about. Trials are not punishments. They're platforms. They're stages being set up for your elevation. You think God is setting you up to lose. You think He brought you this far just to humiliate you. No, He's setting you up to win bigger than you ever imagined. But He's got to test you first, because you can't carry the blessing if you don't have the strength. You can't handle the platform if you don't have the character. You can't wear the crown if you're too weak to lift it. So stop cursing the process. Stop wishing the battle away. Embrace it. Lean into it. Thank God for the opportunity to become who you're supposed to be. Because if you don't quit, if you don't fold, if you don't surrender to fear, you will come out the other side and you'll be dangerous in the best way. You'll be a living, breathing testimony that with God, everything is possible. There's a power that only comes from surviving hell. There's a strength that only comes from fighting battles no one else. Some of the strongest people walking the earth right now are the ones you'd never expect. Not because life was easy for them, but because they refused to give up when it got hard. They're the ones who know deep down that storms don't last forever, and that God's promises are not empty. You have that same power available to you. You just have to decide what you believe more, your fear or your faith. You have to decide if you trust the storm more than you trust your God. Because let me tell you something real, the storm is temporary. God is eternal. The pain is temporary. The blessing is eternal. The trial is temporary. The glory is eternal. Stop asking for an easy life. Start asking for the strength to conquer the hard one. Stop praying that the obstacles disappear. Start praying for the power to smash through them. Stop begging for comfort and start chasing after growth. Because growth is uncomfortable. Growth is painful. Growth demands something from you. And it's in the pain that you meet the real you. The version of you that God always saw when He allowed the trial to come. So the next time life punches you in the gut, don't fold. Smile. Stand up. Adjust your armor. And remind yourself, this isn't the end. It's the beginning. The trial isn't here to destroy you. It's here to reveal you. And when you walk through it with God by your side, you won't just survive, you'll dominate. You'll thrive. You'll become the living proof that nothing, and I mean nothing, is impossible for those who refuse to give up. Because with God, everything, absolutely everything, is possible.
A lot of people say they have faith. They talk about it. They post about it. They hashtag it. But let's get one thing straight. Real faith isn't about talking. It's not about putting fancy quotes on Instagram. It's about what you do when no one's watching. Faith without action is dead. Faith without movement is a lie. You tell yourself to stay comfortable. If you really believe God can do the impossible, your life should look like it. Your choices should reflect it. Your work ethic should scream it. Sitting around waiting for your life to magically change is not faith. That's delusion. Faith moves. Faith shows up even when it's inconvenient. Faith builds when everyone else is sleeping. Faith trains when nobody's clapping. Faith knocks on doors that are locked and kicks them down if necessary. Faith doesn't sit back hoping things get better. It gets up and makes things better because it trusts that God is in every step of the grind. You can't pray for a championship and then skip practice. You can't ask God for a business empire and then hit the snooze button every morning. You can't say you believe for greatness and then act like mediocrity is acceptable. Your actions are a louder testimony than anything you could ever say with your mouth. People hear what you say, but they believe what you do. When you move in faith, even when you can't see the full picture, that's when God starts moving too. Faith activates heaven. Faith opens doors that fear keeps locked. Faith makes a way where logic says there isn't one. But God isn't going to bless laziness. He's not going to reward apathy. He partners with the doers, the movers, the ones who don't just dream about it but are willing to bleed for it. Too many people sit back saying, if it's God's will, it'll happen. Let me be real with you. It is His will for you to win. It is His will for you to conquer. It is His will for you to rise up and live a life of purpose and power. But He's not going to drag you to greatness kicking and screaming. He's not going to carry you over the finish line while you're making excuses. You've got to stand up. You've got to move like you actually believe the promises are yours. When David faced Goliath, he didn't just stand there praying for God to zap the giant from the sky. He ran at him, full speed, with nothing but a sling and a stone and an unshakable faith that God was backing him up. Action and faith combined, that's where miracles happen. That's where legends are made. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting until you feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. You're never going to have all the pieces lined up perfectly. That's the whole point. Faith says, even though I don't have all the answers, I trust the one who does. Faith says, even though it looks crazy, I'm moving anyway because I know who's guiding me. You have to make bold moves. You have to make uncomfortable choices. You have to bet on yourself when nobody else does. Not because you're arrogant, but because you know you're backed by a God who doesn't lose. Play it safe if you want. Play small if you want. But don't you dare claim you're living in faith while you sit on your hands watching the world pass you by. That's fear dressed up as wisdom. The life you want, the dreams you have, the destiny you're called to, they're on the other side of action, risk, obedience, trust. And if you're too scared to move, you'll never see the full power of God at work in your life. He honors motion. He honors hustle. He honors those who are willing to step out onto the battlefield, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. You were not created to be a spectator. You were born to dominate, to create, to conquer. But domination doesn't come to the lazy. Victory doesn't come to the hesitant. Favor chases down the ones who are willing to move with boldness when everyone else is too scared to try. You've got to build when nobody's watching. You've got to plant when there's no guarantee of rain. You've got to invest in yourself when there's no applause, no trophies, no visible reward yet. Because you're not just working for today's approval, you're sowing seeds that will explode into harvests tomorrow. And when the miracles show up, people will call it luck. They'll call it a fluke. They won't understand the nights you stayed up grinding. They won't see the days you moved in blind faith, when nothing made sense. But you'll know, and God will know. And that's all that matters. Understand this: your actions are a vote for the future you believe in. Every step you take is you declaring, I trust God more than I trust my fears. Every decision you make to grind harder, to aim higher, to sacrifice deeper is you shouting to heaven, I believe you when you said all things are possible. So if you believe it, move like it, work like it, speak like it. Walk into every room like the favor of God is draped over your shoulders, because it is. Walk onto every battlefield like victory is inevitable, because it is. Wake up every day and attack it like the breakthrough is already written in your story, because it. Stop letting fear whisper lies into your destiny. Stop letting laziness rob you of miracles. Stop letting doubt sabotage the life you were born to live. Move, act, build, fight, trust. Because if you'll just start moving in faith, you'll see doors open that you didn't even knock on. You'll see opportunities arise that you couldn't have manufactured in 1,000 years. You'll see God do the impossible, not because you sat around wishing for it, but because you moved like you knew it was already yours. Because with God, everything, absolutely everything, is possible. Let me tell you something most people don't understand. Gratitude isn't just about being polite. It's not just about saying thank you when something good happens. Gratitude is a weapon. Gratitude is a mindset that unlocks blessings most people will never even get close to. You want to see more miracles? You want to see more opportunities? You want to live in a level of success that most people only dream about? Start being thankful for what you already have. Start treating the small victories like they're massive wins. Start honoring the little blessings like they're the keys to the kingdom, because they are. See, a lot of people are stuck not because God isn't willing to bless them, but because they've disrespected the blessings they already have. They whine about what they don't have, instead of working with what they do. They complain about where they're not, instead of conquering where they are. And what they don't realize is that gratitude is a signal. It's a message you're sending to God saying, I recognize your hand on my life. I trust you. I'm ready for more. If you're not grateful for the job you have now, why would He trust you with the business you're dreaming about? If you're not grateful for the apartment you're renting now, why would He hand you the keys to the mansion you've been praying for? If you can't handle the followers, the money, the influence you've got now without getting arrogant, why would He give you a platform 10 times bigger? Gratitude proves that your character can handle the next level. You want to live in abundance? Then stop looking at your life through a lens of lack. Stop focusing on everything that's missing. Start focusing on everything that's already in your hands. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It flips the script. Suddenly, you stop seeing problems and start seeing possibility. You stop seeing limitations and start seeing opportunities. You stop living as a victim and start operating like a victor. When you wake up in the morning, you've got two options. You can start your day counting everything that's wrong, or you can start your day counting every reason you're already winning. And let me tell you, the people who rise, the people who conquer, the people who live lives that make history, they choose gratitude. They refuse to be prisoners of negativity. They refuse to be slaves to circumstances. They take control of their mindset, and they build their lives on a foundation of thankfulness. Gratitude is power. It turns whatever you have into enough. It multiplies whatever you're working with. It breathes life into dreams that other people said were dead. And here's the crazy part. Gratitude isn't even about your circumstances, it's about your focus. Because you could have $1 billion and still be miserable if your focus is wrong. Or you could have almost nothing and still walk around with the swagger of a king because you know who's on your side. If you'll start being grateful where you are, even when it's not perfect, even when it's not what you pictured, even when it's hard, that's when things start shifting. That's when favor starts finding you. That's when doors start flying open that you didn't even know existed. Because God trusts grateful people. He knows they won't lose their soul chasing success. He knows they won't forget where the blessing came from. He knows they're ready to carry more without being crushed by pride. Gratitude also protects your heart. It keeps you from turning bitter when things don't go your way. It keeps you from quitting when the journey gets longer than you expect. It keeps you grounded when you start tasting the success you've been praying for. Because trust me, there will be tests. Success will test you just like failure will. And the only way to survive it, to thrive through it, is to stay grateful. To remember that none of it happened by your strength alone. To remember that it was always grace, always favor, always God making a way when you didn't deserve it. So start today. Stop waiting for life to be perfect before you show gratitude. It won't ever be perfect. There will always be something you're chasing, something you're building, something you're believing for.
But you've got to learn to celebrate what you have while you fight for what you want. You've got to learn to dance in the hallway before the doors even open. Because gratitude isn't about what's happening around you, it's about what's happening inside you. I don't care how big your goals are. I don't care how massive your dreams are. If you don't learn gratitude now, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because even when you get everything you think you want, if you haven't trained your heart to be grateful, it'll never feel like enough. You'll be chasing the next hit of success like a junkie. You'll be a slave to achievement. But gratitude frees you. It reminds you that you're already blessed, already chosen, already favored, even before the next big thing shows up. You have air in your lungs right now, that's a blessing. You have strength in your body, that's a blessing. You have another chance today to build, to fight, to win, that's a blessing. Stop waiting for some giant miracle to happen before you give God the glory. Start living like every day is a miracle, because it is. Every breath is proof that He's not done with you yet. If you can master gratitude, you can master, because a grateful heart is an unstoppable heart. It doesn't matter what comes against you. It doesn't matter what the world says about you. It doesn't matter how hard the battle gets. A heart that's grounded in gratitude knows that with God, victory is already secure. A heart that's rooted in thankfulness can't be shaken by fear or broken by failure. Your gratitude is the secret weapon most people overlook, but not you. You're different. You're built different. You see the blessing, even when others only see the burden. You see the opportunity, even when others only see the obstacle. And because of that, because you carry gratitude like a shield and a sword, greater blessings are chasing you down right now. Favor is hunting you. Breakthroughs are looking for you. Miracles are on their way to you. Because with God, everything, absolutely everything is possible.